It's Hollie's Hotspurs back with another one. Chatting all things Tottenham, we're second to none. Special guests every time, if it's win, lose or draw. The passion is high like Harry Kane when he scores. Or when Lloris makes a world-class save. We got Højbjerg running the mid every game. Settle down, stick around, share your thoughts with the panel. And make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Coys.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Hollie's Hotspurs Live, where once again we have a game that's ended in a draw and one has 0 shots on target. So I'd like to say there's plenty to discuss, but I may have to rephrase that slightly. But nevertheless, to dissect everything that didn't and did happen, I am joined by 3 lovely guests. First of all, we'll start with Tans. Tans, welcome back to the show, mate. I'm sorry it's going to be another therapy session, but how are you, mate?
I think it always is when I come on your channel. But it's always a pleasure to come on. Thanks for having me. I can't say I'm going to be filled with positivity today. But yeah, look forward to dissecting a great game of football. Woohoo!
Fun times. And also with me, we have Emma from Football London. I've got it right this time. How are you tonight, Emma? It's so great to have you on the channel.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. As I said before, it's been a long time coming. But yeah, I mean, we'd prefer to be talking about a Tottenham win, but I'm sure there'll still be lots to talk about. It's Tottenhamers, isn't it? So yeah, looking forward to it.
Love it. Nice. Lovely, jubbly. And also we've got Joey joining us. I said just before we went live, normally it's male dominated, but tonight it's women dominated, Joey. So I don't know whether that's a good or bad thing for you, mate, but welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm not complaining. I'm in good company. So, but yeah, unfortunately, the Spurs game's not the best one, but to be the first podcast on. But yeah, hopefully we can come up with something.
Definitely, I love it. I mean, like I say, it's always good therapy when results don't go our way. So it'd be nice to like sit down and talk about it. And obviously, the first thing we kind of need to talk about is the lineup, because it was slightly changed, wasn't it, Tans? And that's the fact that we saw Sessegnon come in for Reguilón. So what was your kind of thoughts when you saw the team sheet was obviously adapted to put Sessegnon in?
Yeah, I think it was good to see Sessegnon. I don't think Reguilón had the best of games against Brighton. So I think it was fair to put Sessegnon in. I think before he got injured, he's actually, adapting to Conte's system, playing quite well. So I was intrigued to see Sessegnon start, but you can't really say there's much difference between him and Reguilón, really. I mean, he didn't really do much. Didn't make much of an impact as I would have liked. It's such a weird one with Sessegnon, man. Like, I want him to do well, but he just doesn't. And it's like, we've spent a good bit of money on this guy, and it's just disappointing. I personally just think we should move him on at some stage, if we're being really honest. And I don't know if he'll start the next game. He probably won't. I reckon Reguilón will be chucked in there. But to be honest, I think it was right that he came in, though. I would have gone with that lineup.
And I think that's the thing as well, because obviously you say that Reguilón will probably come straight back in. I think because Conte said prior to the game that obviously it was a muscle problem that Reguilón was suffering with. Now, Emma, I don't know, for me, because of obviously his performances, I don't know whether that was kind of shadowing away from those performances, and the fact saying he's got a muscle injury was maybe something for fans to kind of be like, oh, right, okay, it's not because of his performances. Do you think it was the muscle injury, or do you think it was just because he had a bad performance against Brighton?
I feel like maybe it was a mixture of both, because I agree, I was happy to see Sessegnon in the lineup. I think, he deserves a chance after coming back from injury. And as Tan said, he was finding some form before his injury. But I just, I do. I've got a slightly different opinion. I would keep Sessegnon in the lineup. I wasn't too impressed with him. I was expecting better, but he has just come back from injury. Maybe he does need a little run of games, because I think he's got great potential. But yeah, in terms of Reguilón, I don't know. Maybe it was a mixture of both, but I think, injury or not, I would have put Sessegnon in the lineup. So I don't know how much of an impact that would have had. Yeah,
it is true. It's like you say, it could be an injury because, like you said, he has been struggling with some stuff, and it could be down performances because his performance hasn't been so great. But again, it didn't really add to much, though, Joe, did it? Because obviously Sess come in, and like Tan's touched on, and Emma, it didn't really allude to anything more in that kind of sense. We didn't necessarily miss Reguilón, we didn't necessarily miss it. It was kind of the same balance. Do you not think, Joe?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think what Tan said, I agree with Tanya quite a lot there. I probably would sell on Sessegnon. I think he's had his chance now. What is it? Like, he's had, like, what, 2 or 3 good performances, and that's it. Nothing really else. I'm actually a bit of a weird one. I know that a lot of people are quite against Reguilón, but I quite like him, actually. I know he's had a few bad games this season, but the ones that he plays well in, I think he is our best, like, left back or left wing back. Personally, I probably would have played him. But you're saying I didn't know he was injured. To be honest, I thought there was a selection.
Yeah, I
choice
did
just
as
on
well.
Conte.
Yeah.
No, it is interesting because, like I said, when obviously the game was warming up, you had that little interview with Conte, and I was kind of taken back the fact that the medical staff were monitoring him. And to me, I thought it was because he played bad against Brighton. But again, who kind of knows at the moment with what's going on? Because, like we say, we've got obviously Reguilón or Cess on that side, and then we've obviously only got Emerson on the other side, which I think I'm going to bring up now because obviously it's the talking point of everything at the moment. Our wing backs just aren't good enough, and I think it shows. Obviously, Matt Doherty was playing so well until he got injured. That just kind of finalises our season in that wing back situation. That we've got Matt Doherty now performing really well. He's gone, and we've got Emerson again, haven't we, Tams?
I don't even want to talk about him because do you know what keeps just running through my head? I think we've all seen it. You know that pass he tried to make to Sanchez? Goodness gracious me. Honestly, I really don't want to be horrible, but I am anyway. I think he's up there with one of the worst players I've ever seen play for Spurs. I'm being genuinely serious. I just think you can even tell that the players don't want to pass to him. He's just all over the place. Like, honestly, he makes me miss Aurier, and I don't even miss Aurier. But that's how bad he is. Like, he's just awful. And I just think this system relies so heavily on wing backs, and it's no wonder why we just get these inconsistencies. Our wing backs are just not good enough. I agree with Joey. I think Reguilón is good, but even for me, I still think we could upgrade on Reguilón. I would maybe have him as like the second left wing back, and in the summer, I would be, you know, in that transfer window, trying to get a very good left wing back and a very, very good right wing back. Because the fact that we even missed Doherty just tells you everything. Because I still don't think Doherty's incredible, but he's done a lot more than Emerson. Good gracious me. He's just awful. And I don't know what Conte can really do. But I think, I know previewing next game, I wouldn't start Royal. I would take a risk and just go with a Bergwijn or a Mora at right wing back because I just think he's that bad, genuinely.
It is really interesting you say that because obviously under this Conte system, we rely so heavily on our wing backs being the creators. And obviously, again, we had 0 shots on target. And why is that? Because our wing backs weren't doing that offensive creativity, were they, Emma? And that's the thing that I'm really struggling with because you don't want to blame Conte, but you also think to yourself, mate, this isn't working with the system you're playing.
Right?
Like Tan says, do you stick a Lucas in where Emerson plays? Do you stick a Bergwijn in there?
I think it's very difficult. And I have this debate a lot because, you know, I agree. I think in a way something needs to change because it's clearly not working. But then you also look at who's on the bench. And this lack of quality in the depth of our squad is a massive problem. And so, I think there can be some blame put on Conte. Obviously, he's making the decisions and he's sticking to the squad. But, you know, you put a Mora there or a Bergwijn there, and are they going to be able to have that defensive quality? Okay, yeah, we all know they've got those attacking qualities, but a wing back has to do both. And, okay, we might get 10 shots on target, but we might then concede 5 goals because they're not getting back to defend. So I think it's very hard. I do agree. I think Emerson is really not performing at all. And I've tried to defend him because, you know, he's not used to playing in the position. He's new to the Premier League. He's young, but there's only so much defending of him you can do. And I just think, it was sloppy. Like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't just him. There was a lot of him.
No.
And I was at the stadium and people were booing him when he went off, which I don't agree.
Oh, no.
I personally don't agree with booing players, but, you know, everyone's entitled to their opinion. And I do think he was quite awful. But I think that's our issue. You know, who would have thought we'd say we were missing Doherty so much? So it really is. But so I think it's difficult. You know, I'm not sure I can see Conte putting Moore or Bergwijn at right wing back, but you never know. You might throw a spanner in the works.
mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Tony said here. I know, Emma, you've touched on it as well. Like, it's not fair to call him out, this, that, and the other. And he is young, but again, I don't want to say it's all his fault. But then again, we go back to recruiting again. It's like, well, we lost Serge Aurier, so you get someone in, and now he's playing under. I know he came in prior to that, but he's playing in a system that he's not used to. And again, the first fault is the player, and I get that because he drives me nuts. But again, we also have to think, hang on a minute, we've got Doherty and Everton here. That's it. Like, something has to happen in the summer to obviously upgrade that position. I want to get your thoughts also as well, Joey. And obviously, we've spoken and we touched on the creativity of the wing backs. They're just not doing it for us. That might be why we've had 0 shots on target. But I think it's also as well, we're so predictable in a sense that we're going to get the ball to Kane. Kane's going to find a worldy pass to Son, and that's it done. But when you man mark Kane, sort of like Brentford did, and then shut off the passing lane to Son, you're not going to get any goals. Is that what you kind of feel as well, Joey? Are we too kind of predictable at the moment as well?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. But just touching on the wing-back situation, is I think when we signed Doherty, I think a lot of people think he's a bad player now because we played him at right back, and he's generally just not a right back. He's always been a right wing back. Even at Wolves, he always played in that wing back role. And I know a lot of Wolves fans. I remember when we signed him saying that if you're going to play him at right back, he's going to be a liability for you because he just isn't that good at right back. But I think he's just found that run of form now with Conte because he does fit a Conte system. But yeah, I agree. Emerson Royale is probably one of the worst players I've ever seen in a Spurs shirt. The thing that annoys me about him as well is he looks more bothered about the way he's like a proper pre-Maradona. He cares more about the colour of his boots and how high his socks are than how he's performing on the pitch. I just don't like that kind of player. Whereas if you look at Reguilon, for example, I know he has some bad games, but when you can see he's so poised, he's so passionate about it. And I think Sessegnon is as well. Like, he looks disappointed if a pass goes wrong, or he's always clapping people on, and that's what we need at the Spurs because we are quite lackluster. Like you say, like if Kane isn't having like a Kane game, where obviously you can't always be 10 out of 10, like who else is going to do it? Because I feel like Son is. I love Son to bits. Don't get me wrong. It sounds like I'm proper moaning here, but he is only as good as how Kane's going to get the ball to him. Like he's not really the creator anymore. Is what we thought he was going to be when we signed him. He's now our finisher. Kane's dropped deep. If Kane can't do that, then Son, he just isn't going to be able to himself. So I feel like Son this year, as well as I know he's been our top goal scorer and stuff, but every time he's been through on goal, he's done a lot of weird stuff this year where he could have like another 10 plus goals to his name this year if he was clinical enough. But that's being very harsh, obviously.
No, I agree with
you. You know what I mean? He could have scored loads more. I think people forget about that because of he scored quite a few goals against lesser teams, but in big moments, I don't know, we just don't seem to perform when we need to anymore.
I think it's when the pressure's on. And Joe, I was going to say, you're like this at 0-0. Jesus, what are you like when it's a loss?
Honestly,
all jokes aside, all jokes aside, though, it's true. It's like if you don't have Kane and Son on fire, who else do you kind of call on? And I know it's harsh because obviously I think Decky's been marvellous at the minute, but it's again with him. I don't want to say he's dropping off, but I think we all deserve a bad game. And the last 2 games, I don't think anybody's been good. So it's been hard for him to try and get a foot in the game. But I think as much as I want to sit here and give a lot of credit to Brentford, I think we kind of have to because I thought they did their homework, like Brighton did their homework. They knew how we were going to play it, and it just worked for them, didn't it, Tans? I don't know. I think there was multiple times as well when corners came in, and we'll get onto the man that takes them. But there were so many players unmarked, and I think that's because we were doing zonal marking, and it just meant that we weren't going to bother picking them up. I don't know how you kind of felt, Tans, but again, it was the defensive duties we weren't doing either.
No, I agree. And just on your point about, Brentford did their homework, in all honesty, I just don't think it's that difficult to beat Spurs. Like, you literally pack out in the midfield and you cancel out Kane and Son. Once you do that, it's kind of what Joey was saying. We don't have anyone else in the team that's going to create, that's going to turn up, that's going to try and win the game for us. And that's the issue. But yeah, we were struggling with Brentford. And of course, I don't want to not discredit them at all. I thought they performed really well. Tony was causing us problems. I think he should have had a couple, and Eriksen was, unbelievable. And yeah, they had our numbers in that game, but it's just so frustrating because I do still feel we're good enough to beat Brentford. We've beaten them this season. As good as Eriksen has been for them, it still doesn't justify that performance that the players dished up. It just wasn't good enough for me, especially when, we're coming off the back of a disappointing result against Brighton. Where's the urgency? Like, we just looked really, really slow. And I found the midfield was a bit, I don't know, Kula's Bentancur, I think he struggled as well. I think he's kind of struggled with the past 2 games, to be honest. I think he's dropped off a little bit. Of course, the whole team has, but him and Højbjerg, for me, wasn't really working. But it just goes back to what we've all been saying. Who else does he put in there? Like, you literally can't do right for doing wrong, I guess. But yeah, I think Brentford did play well and we just weren't good enough. Simple as.
And I think it's true what you said, because obviously I think Ravi said it's here. Did you feel Spurs were a little flat? I think we were flat, but again, there's no get up and go. We've just lost to Brighton. We know that Arsenal are breathing down our throats, basically our back, and we haven't really shown a performance that will do it. I mean, you take West Ham, for example. We went straight at them, straight off when we beat them. Against Brentford, we felt timid and I don't know, we just didn't get up and go, did we, Emma? And I think, like you've touched on just there, Tams, about the Højbjerg and Bentancur combination. I think against these type of teams, it's not really working. But then, no. Emma, who do you slip in again? Like Tony said here, we miss Skippy. Would Skippy add a different element to it?
Yeah, I mean, I think in all the games Skip's missed, there's been many times when it's been clear that, he would have, he has that forward mentality and he was playing so well before his injury. And I think going back to the predictable thing, Eriksen actually said, after the game in his post-match interview, he was saying, when people play Tottenham and against Conte, they know how they're going to play. And I think that sums it up. Obviously, Eriksen's had experience of Tottenham and Conte, so it didn't really work in our favour there. But I think it is. But then, and I'm not trying to compare us to Man City or Liverpool because we aren't on that level. But you look at them and they play with a very similar setup every week, but they've got that quality. And I think that's what it is. We are predictable, but if you have good enough players, then you surely should be able to overcome a lot of teams. And I just think it's difficult because, something does need to change. And as you said, Hollie, like this, everyone knows we try and get it to Kane and Son and score, and you mark them tightly and you're not going to get it to them. But I just think that there isn't those people to switch it in. And I think that's why Conte's not changing it, because we all know how people feel about Winks. And I feel like, imagine if you saw on the team sheet Højbjerg and Winks or Bentancur and Winks. Do you know what I mean? And we've got no other options. So we're a bit lost there. And I think that's why we've got to keep it as it is. But I agree, I thought we'd go straight into the game, energy, get forward, intensity. And as Tan said, there just wasn't urgency. Even when we were getting to the end of the game, I thought, right, okay, there were short spells of that. But I just think overall, I was expecting a lot more energy than there was.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. And I don't know whether it's because we were away from home, but again, it shouldn't falter us, because even when we were at home, it just didn't seem to happen as well, Joe. I don't know about you, Joey. I mean, like we've all kind of said, we'd hope to see Winks on the score sheet. Sorry. Winks in the lineup. But like, how do we go from here to be like, right, let's switch it up. Let's not be predictable, because like we've all kind of said, I don't think we can.
No, yeah, just touching on what Emma said as well there, like, we are very, very predictable. Like, we have what Eriksen said, we have that system, we have the wing backs, we have Kane, and that's pretty much all we do. Where, like, I know Liverpool, like Emma said, like, they do the same thing, but when you look at Liverpool, they can win the game in so many different ways. It's not just the pass the ball to Salah and Mane and hit those wings and cut in. If that's not working, because we've seen Salah's had a rough couple of games in a row. I know he's just played really well in the last game, but like, looking at them, like, they've got this Trent Alexander-Arnold can just make a pass out of nowhere. Whereas, like, for us, that's Kane. And then we've got Salah, who can do whatever they want. But for us, that's Kane. It's like our whole team is just Kane. Like, he does everything. And it's just, it's so frustrating to watch. Whereas, like, other teams, they're like proper teams. They're balanced out all over the pitch. Like we're just literally, Kane is our passer, our scorer, our cap. Like, he's our proper captain in my opinion. Like, and I mean, I love Hugo to bits, but I just don't agree with captains being in goal. Like he's everything to us, and yeah, if he leaves us, honestly, I don't even know. I don't know where we're going to finish, but it's curtains.
Wow, it is true. It's like you say, we don't. We literally have, like you say, Kane is the catalyst, isn't he? And it all stems through him. But again, if he's being blocked or he's being tightly marked, you can't expect him to do things like that. And again, it's with Conte. He can't. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
Sorry, yeah, and this is why, like, we never replaced Eriksen. Like, we had someone like Eriksen, and he was our catalyst, and he could give us those passes, but he allowed Kane and all these other players to actually, like, get into space and do what they do. Whereas, like, if only we could have Kane passing to Kane, we'd probably finish, like, top four comfortably, but we'd be pushing for a title. It'd be our defence that lets us down there, 100%, but... we need creative players, because at the minute we're just literally so reliant on Kane and Son. It's stupid.
It is. And before we get on to obviously the creative maestro, which was on the other side, which is Eriksen, I just want to say a special mention to Albert. Although he's from the other side of North London, he's actually all right, to be fair. This one's not deluded. So I'll let him off. But thank you, Albert, for tuning in. I bet you're loving life at the minute. But anyway, moving on to obviously the player that we've all kind of touched on slightly now and again, and that is Eriksen. So Joey said we need a creative player. There's talks about him coming back to Spurs. Before we get on to that, he must have worked on his corners, Tams, because my words, like, never used to beat the first man. Now they're like beating everyone.
Well, you know, Dr. Spurs, eh? So of course he'll whip perfect corners in. He didn't do that for us, like you say. Yeah, brilliant. And it was so nice to see him perform and come into the tunnel, hugging the players. Like, it was really nice to see. I'm really happy for Eriksen. Obviously, we'll probably touch on, you know, him coming back and whether I agree with that or not. But yeah, he's a quality player. And like Joey said, you know, he's a player that we just still haven't replaced. And it's just absolutely criminal, to be honest, how we've not replaced him. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a creative midfielder as such, but just that creativity, we need that in our team. And, you know, if we did have good wing backs that are as good as like a Trent, like a really great passer of the ball, like Joey said, a Kane to a Kane, I think we'd be laughing. Like, as much as I hate to say, you have to look at them not down the road, Arsenal, like Odegaard and Smith Rowe, they're two players that, to be honest, we could really do with in our team. Like, they've just got that creative ability, and they can also score goals too. And I just think, yeah, the reliance on Kane and Son is crazy. But yeah, Eriksen, special moment for him. So happy to see him back playing, because, you know, it was awful what happened to him. And I think everybody now is just loving every minute of him performing. But yeah, I'm just so glad he didn't score, though. I'm not going to lie. Like, if he scored against us, I would have been gutted. I would have been absolutely gutted. So thank you for not scoring against us.
I was going to say, maybe he's still got a bit of, you know, Tottenham blood in him, that he knew that he couldn't do that to upset all those fans.
Yeah.
It was a lovely moment. Like you say, obviously, there was, you could hear in moments of the games, Emma, that the fans were singing his old song, he's our number 23. It was just a great sight to see. And you said you were there, Emma, didn't you say that? Did you say
Yes.
that?
Yeah, I was.
From your, like, obviously being amongst the crowd and stuff, how did that moment kind of feel for you being in the stands?
Yeah, I thought it was great. You know, when he walked over to take the first corner, it was loud claps and cheers. And then I'm sure people have seen the videos of him coming over to the crowd after. And it was just such a special moment, you know. And I think, yeah, I agree. I don't know where he's been practicing these corners, but, you know, I just thought as well, he just played so well. You know, he looked so free, like he was just floating about the pitch. And, you know, that's down to why weren't we marking him well enough, but also, you know, he did just play really well, and I think he's made such an impact on the Brentford side. But I think, again, with his corners, it just sort of summed Tottenham up. I think there were 3 occasions when it got to Tony at the back and he was having a shot, and every time we weren't marking him properly. And I just think it's, you know, that was, once they've done it once or even twice, it's like, okay, now you know what they're going to do and you're still not marking him properly. But yeah, I think back to Eriksen, it was a very special moment. And I think the crowd really gave him a good reception, as I expected anyway. But yeah, and it was just great to be there and see him live.
No, that is class. I'm a little bit jealous, obviously. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not
I'm
jealous I
jealous.
watched the 0-0, but just to like obviously have that kind of moment as well. But Joe, I'll come to you next because obviously we've spoken a little bit obviously about Eriksen. What's your kind of thought? I know you want a creative midfielder, but like Tans has touched on, if we have decent wing backs, would you want Eriksen back at Spurs? I feel like you're going to say yes as soon as I finish your sentence, but would you want, say, Eriksen to come back?
Yeah, I'd love Eriksen back just purely because I just don't think the annoying thing is like we're going to replace him with him. This is like we just basically
I'm
lost
sorry,
a few
crazy.
years of his like prime. So I don't know. There's an element of me that's just like, no, he wanted to go, let him go. Like he's had his moment with us. Like we all love him. If he comes back and he doesn't perform, like it kind of ruins a little bit of his legacy. But I don't know about Spurs. Like we need a lot. I think not just wing backs. I'm hearing Conte might not even be here next year. So what's the point of having wing backs if he's not going to be here anyway? We just need a clear direction of where we're going, what we're going to play. Like you have to remember, like Conte only came in halfway through the season, so it's not like he's come in, tried to play a system with players that he doesn't even want, or probably wouldn't even been in our squad at the start if he would have had a full summer. I mean, it's just gonna. I'm guessing everybody thinks the same, but Daniel Levy's got to have something to say about this because I mean, we could have had Conte at the start, but I don't know what happened. All those rumours in the summer. He's kind of messed up this whole season for us. If anyone's to blame, like screw Emerson Royale. It's not his fault. It's Daniel Levy's fault, in my opinion.
To be fair, I think I can sit and say, okay, I hold my hands up. It's not Emerson's fault. It's the egg we call at the top. But I won't get my egg poster out just yet. But it's true what you say. Obviously, it'd be nice to have Eriksen back, but we would be like Daniel says, re-signing FC.
I'm with Daniel.
It worked with Bale when Jose played him, but is Conte, we'll get onto that Conte talk later, but if Conte is to stay, is he going to be, I know he's worked under Conte, could that be something to bring him back, or what? I see you shake your head, Stan's gone far away.
I feel bad, but I'm just not for it. Like, I'm just not. I think with Eriksen and just with re-signing players in general, I think Bell was maybe slightly different because I still think Bell is world class. Like, he's got a world class moment in him. Like, he can just, create something out of nothing and get you goals. Whereas with Eriksen, yes, he's playing well for Brentford now, but I just personally want to look to the future, and I would ideally want a midfielder that's younger. And look, I think his health issues are past him now. Like he's fit to play, so I don't want to use that as an excuse. But I just don't really want to go back there. As much as we could do with an Eriksen, I think, like Joey said, we've got so many other issues around the pitch, and I don't know, does Conte really play with that kind of player, creative number 10? Like, he loves his defensive midfielders, so I don't know. I think maybe for a season on a free, but just one season only. Like, that's it. Like, I wouldn't have him for like 2 more seasons. That wouldn't make sense to me, because there's other creative players that we could possibly get that is younger and has got much more potential. Whereas you're looking at Eriksen, you're like, okay, is he going to get to another level? No, really, he's not. So I would personally pass up the offer, but obviously if it happened, I'm not going to be like, get him out of the club. Like, I don't want him. Like, I'm not going to do that. But
see, that really shocks me, because for me, absolute no-brainer. He's, his contract's up at Brentford in the summer. He's made an impact at Brentford. He's performed well for Tottenham. He's played under Conte. We know what he can do. He can now take a corner. He can take a free kick. I think it's just a no-brainer. I mean, I think I just think, we know what he can do. Like, it's, he's proven what he can do for Tottenham. He's now proven it at Brentford. I completely get that. Look into the future, long term. We're going to need someone else. We can't just be relying on Eriksen because he's already 30. But I think the fact he's free as well for me is a big thing. Like, you're not even having to spend money and you're getting a good player. I just think it's so, but I just think, he's performing well for Brentford. We know what he can do. Don't get me wrong. It would probably, Conte would probably have to change the formation up a bit, because I don't really know where he fits in that 3-4-3, 3-4-2-1, whatever you want to call it. But I think could play a 3-5-2 and him behind Son and Kane, and he could be that player that feeds it through to them. So yeah, I just think it's a no-brainer. But I mean, whether they'll actually manage to get him back, it's Tottenham, so who knows?
I think, to be honest, Hollie, sorry, I think the question you should be asking is it a Tottenham signing? The answer is yes, because Levy loves a freebie. Like, let's be honest, like, this is Levy written all over it. He's like, for free, mate, all over that. So, to be honest, I could see it happening. I'm not going to lie, but yeah.
I mean, it's true. I don't think any of us would say no. It's just I'm stressing about every other position that's on that pitch that needs to be sorted, and there's a lot of them. So I don't know. It's difficult. I mean, it'd be quite nice to sing his song again. He was my favourite, number 23. And
I love the song. Yeah, I do miss that.
Like Emma says, mate, he can now take corners, so it's a win-win. It's a no-brainer. But no, it is an interesting conversation. I mean, it's come up, the fact that obviously there's rumours about it. Whether it happens or not is another question. But it's something nice, different to talk about, other than a 0-0 draw. So moving slightly away from obviously the game, I obviously want to talk about this thing that's come out recently, and that is obviously the Conte swap for Pochettino. So Joey, I'll come to you first. What's your thoughts on this? I mean, bearing in mind Conte is still our manager currently, and we're not at the end of the season. What's your kind of thoughts on this rumor coming out?
Oh, it's annoying. It's really annoying. I feel like with Tottenham, there's always something that overshadowing the whole club. Like, if it's not Kane who doesn't want to play for us anymore, or it's not the manager doesn't want to be here, or we've not won a trophy. I find the media is just so boring. I personally don't think Conte has gone to PSG. I just don't believe that at all. I think what kind of a manager would do that? If he has done that, then yeah, go. Like, I don't want him in the club. I don't want him anywhere near us, because like we're literally still fighting for top four. Like we drew to Brentford, not lost, sorry, but yeah, we drew to Brentford. Like, but they lost. They beat Chelsea. They beat West Ham twice. They beat the neighbours down the road, the ones we do not speak of. They've literally they've beaten so many big teams and Arsenal. You can't expect to go to Brentford and win, I don't think, especially with the form that they're on. So to then go ahead, like throw your toys at the pram, he does kind of annoy me a little bit, Conte.
Yeah.
I do love him, but it seems like every time it goes bad a little bit, it's like, oh, I'm just going to leave then. Like, all right, go. Like, you're not our God and Saviour, mate. Like, you've been here for like 6 months and you've taken us from 7th to 5th. Like, nice one. Like,
Oh my
I love it.
Sorry, mate. We've only drawn to Brentford. I mean, I know your thoughts on it now.
But like Pochettino, for me, like he is our saviour. Like, the guy took us to a Champions League final. I've never cried over a football game in my life until Ajax semi-final, and honestly, it's probably the most emotional night of my life. I could not believe that my club was in a Champions League final. So I know we lost it, but like there's still the pride and like the proud. I was so proud of them, and yeah, like I don't know, Pochettino. If it is true, Conte wants to go. No, let him go. Pochettino, come back. However, if it's not true, then I would keep Conte, because he is. I think, yeah. Well, obviously he's a better manager. He's won more. He's done more. But he just got to stop throwing his toys out the pram for me. Like, it's just boring now. Like, either do your job or go. Like, we don't need this.
Sorry, I'm glad you're not my manager, mate. Jeez, I'd be sacked in the morning. But no, I mean, I kind of get where you're coming from in the sense
I
that,
do.
like, you've got these players. These are the geezers you've got. You need to do something to start winning these games to get to the top four. But let's not be too hasty on the man, because obviously we had Nuno at the start of the season, which I must say.
Who's Nuno? Nuno?
What's from your brain? But we did have that man at the start of the season, believe it or not. And the fact that we've managed to now be fighting for top four, if you asked me that after the last, like, maybe towards the end of the stint of Nuno, I would not be sitting here saying, yeah, we're going for top four. But Tanya, do you think this rumor coming out is truthful, or do you think it's just like, we're not doing so well, Poch has been sacked, oh, this is coincidental? Do you think that's kind of the message going along?
Do you know what? It's a real weird one because the sources are apparently very reliable sources in France that are reporting this, that, you know, obviously Poch potentially might be sacked, even though he's just won the league with PSG. But there you go. I hate that club anyway. I think the way they treat managers and just this like divine right to get to Champions League. Anyway, and now Conte's in with the job. I do think there's an element of the media just love to like, you know, paint this narrative that, oh yeah, Conte was always going to leave. It was never going to work. And like when things go bad, oh yeah, Conte's going to leave. And yeah, it's not going to work out. And he's going to fight with Levy and whatever. But to be honest, I'm kind of with Joey in the sense that what has frustrated me a little bit with Conte is I do think he does throw his toys out the pram. Like when we had that bad period, it was almost like, yeah, he's given up. And, you know, it's almost like, does he really love Spurs? Like we can say hand on heart, Poch absolutely adores this club. And I just don't know if I feel that from Conte yet. I love him. I think he's great, but I don't know if I feel that from him. But with regards to Poch, again, it's like the Eriksen thing. Like I'm not going to kick up a fuss if it happened, but I don't think I'd be that happy about it. I just think we're just going back in the past. And yeah, I don't know. The only thing I will say, what's weird about this is that the drop-off in the past 2 games has been mad. And it's kind of like, where has that all come from? I'm starting to think, is there actually truth to this? You know, have the players caught on that actually Conte's not going to be here? And if he does go, blimey, I don't know what on earth we do next. I don't know what we do next. Like, genuinely, we probably will get Poch because Levy loves Poch. He knows Poch doesn't work with a budget. He knows Poch isn't going to demand like 600 players like Conte is, because that's what I've seen. Like, Conte wants 6 players. Levy's probably thinking, oh my God, I can't do that. I couldn't possibly. So he's probably thinking Poch is the easier option. So he probably won't even care if Conte wants to go. He'll probably encourage it. So I don't know. I personally would be gutted if Conte went to PSG because I would just be thinking, one more season with us, get a summer transfer window under your belt and see what happens. Like I want to be on that journey with Conte, but you know, he's not a manager that messes about. Like this is an ambitious manager. And if he senses, if there's any bit of him that senses, do you know what? This club isn't serious. Players aren't serious. I don't think I'm going to be backed. He will go PSG. I honestly believe he will. So yeah, whether it's true, I'm not convinced. I think he's our manager and that's what we've got to just focus on. He's our manager still, but I think we do have to see what happens. I think we shouldn't take it lightly either, these rumours.
Could
Yeah.
I just add
Sorry,
I just add, like, I think what Tanya said is pretty much spot on. But in terms of Poch, you know, with Eriksen coming back, I think there is slight differences between Pochettino and a player coming back because, I mean, manager like Poch is still a young manager, and he's gone out and won a title now and came back. And
True.
in my opinion, he didn't really deserve to be sacked. I mean, the guy was obviously having issues with the whole Champions League final thing, and I think it's like I think he will demand a little bit off Levy. I think that's probably the reason he got sacked in the end. Because if you remember after the Champions League final,
good point.
He even before the Champions League final, actually, he was saying things like, if you want us to do well next season, then we have to sign so many more players. Like we aren't good enough as a squad. And the Champions League final was a little bit like as amazing as it was paper over the cracks because that season was awful for us. But like you say, the difference between Pochettino and Conte is like if we give Conte a summer and it doesn't really work out, I just feel like we put ourselves into such a bigger mess because then we've got all these players that are playing a system that not many other managers play.
Yeah, so true.
And we're just not good enough to we're not a Liverpool, we're not a City, we're not a Man United who would go and attract any player. So if we end up in a situation without Europe, even though when we're in Europe we don't buy anyone anyway, but that's a different story. But we could end up in a big mess, I think, if Conte actually wants to leave, he just needs to go. Like, as simple as that. You should never keep a player or a manager.
I do love it.
Joey's sold. He's bought the paper. He's sold it, man. He thinks he's off in the morning. I kind of get what you're saying, Jay, in the sense that obviously you love Poch. I mean, Jay's coming in with a comment. Joe, you can go out there and coach that PSG team to a title. You lost. There you go. Joe's playing devil advocate. Enjoy.
No, 100%. He's not lying there. But like PSG, I hate that club. I'm with.
Yeah, I hate
Tanya
them
on
as
that.
well. Honestly,
All they've got is money, and they've got no history, and they seem to have some God-given right that they should be making Champions League finals. Like, okay, so would they have sacked Pep Guardiola if they were City as well? The weird club.
That's fair enough. I mean, I kind of agree with what you're both saying, but I also think it's come to the point. I think I'll come to you in a minute, Emma, but I also think we've come to a head where we've got Conte. If he wants these players, give it to him, because we've tried everything else. We've tried a rebuild. We've tried this. We've tried that. Like, I'm just fed up. So, Emma, I'll come to you. Obviously, what's your kind of thoughts on this kind of story that's like evolved or developed, shall we say?
So I firstly think Conte, I think the rumours, if anything, could actually put some pressure on Levy and actually act as, if I don't back this man, there's clubs who are going to come for him and he might go. So I think potentially could work in our favour. Football London, we've been reporting that those around Conte have dismissed the reports. I mean, whether they'd actually admit them when he's our manager, who knows? I think it's a difficult one, because I think, at the end of the day, I think if we don't get those players in, is that really Conte in the summer? Is that really Conte's fault? Because I think it's, the ones above. And I think Conte's proven his success at many clubs. He's a great manager, and I think if we can back him, don't get me wrong, we're not in the top four, but Conte's been here for 6 months, and I personally think the improvement he's made to individual players, don't get me wrong, yes, okay, the last 2 games haven't been good, yes, okay, players, we still need more players, but I think the improvement he has made to a lot of players, I think he deserves a lot of credit for, because we were in a mess before he came in. And yes, okay, based on the league table and some results, maybe he's not made this miraculous, but it's not an overnight fix. He needs time. Again, I'm really not trying to compare us to Liverpool and Man City, but Guardiola and Klopp both needed time to get players in. So, it doesn't happen overnight. As much as us Tottenham fans are very impatient and we want to win things, it's not going to happen overnight. And I think, there's now this come out about this post-season talk that they're going to have, and that will sort of see what's going to happen. And I just think Levy, as you said, Hollie, he has to back him. There is no excuse not to. I know he doesn't like to spend all this money, and I know this kind of talk of getting 6 players or however many players he wants is a lot. But if you're not going to do it, then what's the point? What was the point in bringing him in? Yeah. He's coming in, he's bringing in a new system. Players are going to have to adapt, and it's clear that we need better quality players. And if you're not going to give him that, then I think what was the point in bringing him in? So I think that, we're going to get to the end of the season. Conte's still going to be there. And then it will be dependent on Levy. If Levy backs him and we get the players, I would hope that he would stay at least till the end of his contract, as he has said that he wants to. Obviously, things can change. But if Levy doesn't want to back him, then I don't think he's going to have any issue walking out. Do
you not think that Conte, it sounds like I'm really anti-Conte here, but I'm not.
I think you're anti everything today.
I actually really love Conte. I genuinely really do rate the guy. But from what you said there, just sparked something in my mind. It's like you spoke about Liverpool and the Klopp situation. And Klopp is a completely different personality to Conte. In terms of, Klopp wouldn't mind failing maybe 2 to 3 years in a row, at the start of a project, as long as he was going in the direction that he wants to go in. Whereas Conte, halfway through next season, if we're not winning or in any of the cups or anything like that, Conte's just going to be doing the same thing, throwing the toys out. Yeah, I'll go PSG, I'll go Real Madrid, I'll go anywhere where I can win. That he is a pure winner. He just does not want to lose, and I can't see Levy getting him who he needs to get in. I feel like next year, halfway through, we're going to be in such a mess. I think we're going to be in the same situation. Conte wants out, and we've got he's going to be moaning about the players that we didn't get. That's what I think. I think we're at the start of a downfall.
No, I do agree, and I obviously think Klopp and Conte are different managers, but do you also not think that if in the summer, okay, yeah, he might not get every single player he wants, but if he has this talk, obviously we don't know what talks happen behind closed doors, but if he has this talk with Levy and he can see that he is going to be supported and they have this conversation and there is this real direction and he feels, I feel like Conte's had enough experience to know if he's being backed or not. So do you not think that if he can see that, he might stick it out?
No, I'll be honest. No, because Daniel Levy
should have accepted that.
he's a master of like deception, and
Yeah.
he will lie through his teeth to get what he wants, and it will only be like a quarter or even halfway through the season till Conte realizes that he's messed up by staying. Conte is quite a sparky person, and he has fallen out, I think, every single board that he's been at, pretty much, including Inter Milan after he won the title. We're talking about somebody here that won a title that said we need to strengthen, threw his toys out the pram and left to join Spurs. I mean, the guy, I don't know, Levy, I just have no faith in Levy at all to deliver here.
I agree. And I just want to say as well, I think as a fan base as well, we need to show our frustrations, because it kind of goes back to the very beginning when we got Conte. We all said, this is a manager that if he does not get back, he will walk any time of the season, whether it's the summer or whether we start the new season, he will walk. He's got no issues. He's got no loyalties, right? So it just goes back to, well, why did we hire him? So if Levy does not back this manager, you are an egg, as Hollie likes to call it. You are an absolute idiot. Like, honestly, it will really drive me insane if we fail to back this manager and just another manager in general. Like, I will honestly just lose it, because it's like, how can you have the audacity to not give a manager that's won probably more than we could have even imagined? How can you have the audacity to turn around to him and say, actually, Conte, yeah, I can't do that, mate. Sorry. You want 6 players? Can only give you 2. He's gone. He's actually gone. Like,
I think
I'll be fuming.
I think for me as well, that's that. Like, the board are eggs, but the only thing that's given me a little bit of hope is the fact that we managed to get 2 class players in the January transfer window. That's the only thing I'm kind of holding on to at the moment. I want to say quickly before we move on from, I can never say his names properly, Crocodocs. There we go.
Yeah, Crocodocs,
for your super chat, and he's saying obviously if Levy ditches Conte for Poch, we'll have 24 months of the club say you need to pay Emerson to get his value up. I mean, it's a fair enough comment, but thank you so much for your super chat, mate. But moving away slightly from obviously the high kind of talk about Conte and Poch, I want to move on to, obviously we're still in the season and we do have Leicester up next, and I said last week it was a massive 3 points against Brentford, but it's become even bigger now, because obviously those rivals are 1 point in front of us, and it means this game is, like I say, even more important than ever. So Taz, I'll come to you first. What's your kind of thoughts obviously against Leicester?
You know what, I know we had that amazing result against Leicester this season, which was 3-2, and Bergwijn, got the winner for us, but I find Leicester such an iffy fixture. It's one that I can't really call. And Leicester haven't been in the best form. I think they just drew with Aston Villa, which I wasn't really expecting, because, again, Villa have been really inconsistent as well. But my only worry is they've got some of their top players back. Like, I'm sure Fofana's back. And I know their defence has been a bit of an issue for them this season. And they've got good players. Like, they've got Iheanacho, they've got Maddison. He's going to cause us problems. Tillemans. So, and they've also got that, I can't remember his name, he's a young player, he's back from injury as well. I honestly can't remember his name. Is it Justin something? I can't remember. He's a good player. So, I don't know, I'm kind of worried, but the Spurs players can't be worried. They need to go into this match and say, we have to win every game now. I think Spurs fans, we have to win every single game. There's no ifs, there's no buts. We can't afford to slip up. So, I am actually worried. I can't quite call the game. I don't know which way it's going to go, but history does say that we do typically do okay against Leicester, even though we've struggled in the past. I'd like to think on paper we can still beat them, but it's all dependent on our mentality and whether we believe we can win. And at the minute, you have to say, I don't think we do believe that. We look shot of confidence. I think the pressure's actually getting to us. I think Arsenal, they've really kind of, they've affected us mentally, I think, and it's got to our heads. So massive pressure. I think we actually play before Arsenal, so we need to get points on the board to put pressure on them. We have to win it. Win it.
We definitely need to turn the sides. I mean, Kylan's come in here and he said obviously that they do play Roma in midweek, so I don't know, Emma, if that's going to help our favour as well. Do you think?
Well, I was going to say their semi-final legs are either side of the game against us, so I think that's hopefully going to be a massive boost. You know, who knows if they're going to rest some players or whatever. But I think Arsenal actually, obviously excluding the North London derby, up until the end of the season, we play before them. I'm pretty sure every time. And I do think that, you know, obviously we've still got to get the 3 points, but it does just mean that we can put pressure on them if we win rather than them putting the pressure on us. I think I agree with Tans. I don't think it's going to be an easy game, whether they rest players or not. But I would hope, and I mean, I said this before Brentford, so who knows, but I would hope, you know, we've had 2 bad performances and not good results, and we need 3 points. As you said, like, we have to win every game. There's no question about it. And when you've still got to play a North London derby and Liverpool away, this is a game you have to win. There's no question about it. So I would hope that, you know, they've got a full week of training, which obviously they did have last week, and that clearly didn't help. But full week of training and hopefully a bit of a kick up the backside. And hopefully, you know, if Leicester do rest a couple of players and we go in with a bit of urgency and energy, then, we can win. But, you know, I don't think it's going to be easy. And obviously we've still got this issue of players not performing very well. So we just got to hope they can all step up.
That is the thing. I mean, hopefully, we talk about Conte bringing out his hairdryer at half time. Hopefully, he brings it out on the training pitch as well, because obviously, I think they definitely need it after the last couple of results. But Joey, I'll come to you next, obviously, for your input. And obviously, they have lost to Newcastle 2-1. They drew to Everton. They drew to Villa. So if you kind of look at it, kind of like coasting a little bit in that kind of sense, like us. Like they've had a little bit of form and now they're just plateauing. So,
oh God, you know what that means, Dr. Spurs.
Yeah. Exactly.
The word from my mouth, but it is true. Like, we need to go to them and say, actually, you're going to be Dr. Leicester, and we're going to be, you know. So, Joey, are you feeling positive about it? Are you hoping that this is the one we go and win? Because we have to. We've all said it. We have to go and win.
Let's be honest. We should be beating Leicester at home, but Leicester hate us. Like we're like their biggest rival in the Premier League for some random reason, even though we're nowhere near them. Like they just hate us after that season. True. The whole came third in the third in the 2-horse race, something like that. They just can't stand us, and like they do my head in Leicester. I just don't like the club at all. I live in the Midlands, and so I'm surrounded by Leicester fans. And I moved here the year they won the league. It was absolute torture. But like, we were never above them once. Like, we were chasing the whole time. So how they think we bottled it, I just don't understand it at all. Like, we're the only club that actually tried that year. That's literally what it was. But yeah, no, I hate Leicester. Like, there's not that. I just don't like them at all. So I really hope we win. But I can tell you now, they'll throw the European Conference League just to beat us. Like, they don't. I don't know what it is about them, but they hate us so much.
I love it. Joe's just giving us a little rundown of his hatred for Leicester. I mean, if we were playing Southampton, I would do the same because I can't stand them either. But no, I get it.
Why is he? I don't. I've seen that. Why do you hate Southampton? It's just a random club to hate. Like, it's a bit like me hating Leicester, but it's because I live here and all my friends.
Yeah, I was born in Winchester, which is near Southampton, so all my mates are Southampton.
Controversial.
No, but my Tottenham links is because my dad and my grandparents are all from Spurs, so they chose to move to Southampton of all places. And Jay's just corrected me now. I live in Portsmouth, so I have no choice to hate.
It didn't. Sol Campbell went to Portsmouth, so come on, you should be on the same side.
Oh no, I've been double exposed now. Jesus. But no, it's true. We have to win. We've said it all the time. So now I'm going to go for the lovely thing, which is a score prediction. Because whenever I do it, I jinx it. So it's your turn to not jinx it tonight. So Tans, I'll start for you. What are you thinking?
I hate score predictions. This is my worst part.
Okay,
like, I mean, we've got to win. We have to win. Whether I think we'll win, that's the question. That is the question. I think, look, I'm going to be confident and I think we'll win 2-1. I think the lineup is going to be interesting. That whether Conte will just completely shake things up. And I don't mean necessarily formation, but maybe he doesn't play Royal and he just goes all like random and then puts in, more at right wing back, brings back Reguilon at left wing back. And I don't know. Maybe puts Bergwijn in instead of Kulusevski. I personally do want to see a slight tweak, just a slight one. But yeah, I'll go 2-1. But to be honest, I'm lying because I don't think that's going to happen. I'm sorry, I just can't see it. Honestly, I just can't. But yeah, 2-1.
2-1, sweet. Emma, are you feeling positive as well, or are you secretly feeling negative but want to be positive?
I'd go for the latter.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. I think before Brighton, I was thinking about where we would get points and where we wouldn't, and I did actually think we'd draw against Leicester. But after the last two results, I think we're going to go 1-0 down and then win 3-1. Because we're going to go 1-0 down and everyone's going to be like, oh, here we go. And then hopefully I'm just thinking a bit of, we'll get a bit of energy. But, the lineup, personally, I don't think Conte's going to change it up. I think he's going to stick to I think he's going to stick to what he likes. What I would say, I want to see some substitutions earlier. If it's not working, this is the thing. Like you can't wait till the last 15 minutes of a game to bring on a sub. And I also think Bergwijn, I'd put him ahead of Moura. I think Bergwijn needs a bit more game time, especially against Leicester. Maybe we'll be 1-0 down and then Bergwijn will come on and there we go. There's your 2-1 Tans when Bergwijn comes on. But I mean, I'm hopeful we'll get a win and we need to. So they just better step up, really.
I like it. I mean, if we do concede first, I will just turn the telly off. I can't do this for another week.
You won't.
I won't, but I'm going to say I will. No, but like you said, I think we're going to definitely concede. Joe, what do you think? Do you think we're going to concede but win, or
what
going to miss the negative for tonight?
Yeah, he's going to go 4-0 loss.
I think Conte walks halfway through the game. Honestly, I think we should win. I think we've got enough quality there. I know the last two games have been rough, but I think it'll be a comfortable win, especially with us playing. We are playing before Arsenal, right? This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we will win if we play before Arsenal. I think we're just notorious whenever we play second, we lose. That's why we pushed Leicester so far, because we always played first. And as soon as we played second, we bottled it. That's literally what we do. So, yeah, if we play first, we'll win. I think most of our games, apart from Liverpool.
I like it. What would your score prediction be, Joe?
That's
what
so
are you thinking?
Annoying. Sorry.
I think.
I just remember Liverpool, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if we win, and then we've got Liverpool next. It's going to set us back again. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I'm gonna go comfortable. I think 3-0 win.
You've been negative the whole time, and here we go 3-0.
Yeah, I hate Leicester. I can't even say they're gonna.
We don't.
An annoying thing about Leicester as well is I had the tickets to the away game this season. When Bergwijn did the madness, and I got COVID on the day, so I couldn't go.
No.
Yeah. And I can't remember what the score was. We were losing 2-1 in like the 90th minute or whatever. I can't remember what it ended now, but I know we did that mad comeback. But I texted my mate who I was going with, and I was like, I'm so glad I've got COVID. And then like 5 minutes later, we won. I was like, oh my god.
If it makes you feel any better, I hate to admit that I was that fan who left.
No.
I didn't leave. Right, I didn't leave, but I started going down, and then we equalised. So I was like, of course, I'm going to go back up. And then I was like, well, the final whistle's going to go. So then I started walking back again. And then, yeah, that teaches me never to leave a game early ever again. And I've not done it since.
I've only
I
ever left
want
one
to.
game early.
Yeah, but you know
And
what?
that
I'm
was the
worried.
Palace
I'm worried
one.
about Leicester. I just think they're going to come back for revenge, aren't they?
But you change your score
Joey's
prediction
right.
now.
No, because Joey's right. They actually hate us, right? And that result would have absolutely angered them to the core. Like
Yeah,
the way
looked
I
so
celebrated,
angry.
because we literally scored within how many minutes left, or seconds left, rather. They must have been fuming. They're coming for blood. They're coming for absolute blood.
When we won that as well, I'm pretty sure we even put we were either fifth with 3 games in hand, or we pushed into the top 4. So we were all super confident. So we ripped them as well, everywhere, social media, I've seen so many pictures of foxes dead on the road and stuff.
Oh my
They are coming for us.
I mean, I have got Kyle. Well, I call him Kylan, but his name's Carl. He's saying obviously that they're all about the Europa League. Oh, it's lagged. Hang on. They're all about the Europa League. So I'm hoping that is going to be their thing, and we don't necessarily have to worry about them so much in this fixture. But I'm also every team's going to want to win.
That makes no difference for the Spurs. We could play against somebody who literally went out on a night out for 3 days in a row.
I'm sorry, Jay.
With
Are you the
7 men.
Are you the man that just said a 3-0 win? And now
I think we'll win, but I don't believe in all that European stuff. I think it works other clubs, not for us. If anything, it puts more pressure on us. If you look at Brentford, for example, we haven't even mentioned that they were missing some of their best players. Onyeneku wasn't playing. What's he called? Is that Pinnock? I think Canos. There were loads of them that weren't playing. They've been their best players all year, and I can't remember what the other guys called. Something with Sun on the end. I can't remember, Janssen or Jodinson or something. But he's been really good. Anyone, it doesn't matter. We could play a C team and we'd somehow find a way to make it difficult.
No, mate, you've killed me this evening.
Oh, also, Hollie, I know you're going to wrap up in a second, but I do want to quickly just mention something that, Emma was talking about with Conte, because I don't think we really kind of got into Conte and how he kind of cost us that game a little bit. I know we like to talk about the players and we love Conte, right? Well, I don't know if Joey loves Conte. But those substitutions, I'm sorry, they were terrible. I mean, Davinson Sanchez, I didn't get that one at all. At all. You're trying to win a game. Be a bit more ballsy, Conte. You don't need another defender in there. It was just a defense. I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. And
who can you put on though?
I know. But
Harry Winks.
I just think
I'd rather
we're at a point now.
Harry Winks is currently
We're
up
at
there.
a point now where, for me, I still think he has to do something, even unfortunately, if it is a Harry Winks.
No, sorry, he can't.
No, because the thing is, he can't just stand there and just let the game pass him by. We needed, I don't know, I just would have taken more risks, man. And I personally wouldn't have bought on more. I would have bought on Bergwijn, and I would have bought on Bergwijn a lot sooner. He does need to react quicker to things, I think. Okay. But I love him. I don't hate him like Joey. So just a disclaimer.
In all seriousness, I think as well, like you said, maybe he's taking so long because he's like, Jesus Christ, what can I do here with these people I'm looking at on the bench?
He does look like that, doesn't he? He's like, oh my God, mamma mia, what did I do?
So,
what do you guys think about, sorry, what you talking about? I know this is really late, Jesus, I'm some delay on here. Going back to the wing backs. Going back to those wing backs, but why doesn't Ben Davis just play wing back and then Joe Rodon play centre back?
No.
But are you not a fan of Rodon?
No, I'm a big fan of Rodon, but I'm not a fan of Davis at wing back. No, can't happen. I just think.
I think we're talking Emerson Royale or Davies.
At least Emerson Royale can run though.
Can he run? I don't know.
Yeah, but I just think I just think you put Davis at left wing. I just think I like him where he is. I just think honestly, I
don't like him at all, to be honest.
Joey, who do you like, mate?
He said he likes Rodon. He likes Rodon.
I do. This is what we do, though. Like, Rodon is going to become crap. Like, within a season, he'll be one of the worst signings we've ever made, because this is what we do. It happened to Sessegnon, it happened to Lamela, it's happened to Lucas. Like, we don't play our players that we have, and then they just become like memes. Like, it just is. Do you not think? Like, I don't even remember the last time Rodon played.
I don't know what it is with Rodon. Sorry, go on, Hole. Sorry.
I think it's but every manager we've had, say Jose, Nuno, Conte, they don't seem to play him or trust him. I don't know. We don't see what happens in training. Maybe it's I don't know.
But I think it's just weird. He plays so well for Wales, and obviously I know it's different playing for club and country, but I think it's. I mean, obviously Conte said from the start that Rodon is Dyer's understudy, so that doesn't help. Obviously, when Dyer is one of his main centre backs, but then when Dyer was injured, he didn't really get a game either. So I don't know, but please just if I see Davis at left wing back, then
that is a howler.
We do this though, don't we? Like we have like Dyer can be absolutely shambolic for like 6 months straight, and then all of a sudden he's like our best centre back. Like it's almost like Levy just randomly like injects these players to make them better for a little bit. He doesn't have to sign anyone because
it's close to the transfer window.
Yeah, it's true.
It happens every time before a transfer window. Randomly, like Leicester that was December, wasn't it? Randomly, Bergwijn's getting sold, and oh no, he's going to be the next best thing. I don't think he's even played a minute since.
It's true. Good point.
It is mad. But I want to say a big thank you to all three of you tonight. I mean, Joey, you've been a club. I've loved it. We've gone from
this is my favourite. Honestly, Joey has just made my day. Like honestly,
I'm sorry.
Joey's on again. I'm coming on. Like, I just have to.
I'll put you on together. Oh no. Been a club. I mean, like I say, it's so nice that obviously when a game's been so deary and dead to like talk it out and have a good therapy session, and then obviously have Joey to lighten up our ears. It's all good. But we'll go around and say our goodbyes. Obviously, Tanya, thank you again so much for coming on. Where can everybody find you doing your thing, my friend?
No worries. Always a pleasure. It was lovely to meet Emma and Joey. Honestly, quality, absolute quality. Just follow me on Twitter at Tanya_Leona. And just catch me on podcasts. I've got my own podcast actually. It's called We'll Talk About That Later. So follow us at WTATL Official. We're going to be dropping an episode on Wednesday. So check that out.
Nice, I like it. And Emma, thank you again for joining me. Like I say, it's been a long time coming, but I'm glad it's finally happened. So where can everybody find you doing your thing as well, mate?
Yeah, no, it's been a great episode. Good to meet you all. So football.london, all my Spurs content on there, and on Twitter at Emma_Deduve.
Love it. Thank you so
much. I love that name. I love that. Sorry.
Got a proper ring to it. I love it. And Joey as well, where can everybody find you doing anything? Like I say, it's been so nice to have you on and have what should we say? Not a controversial opinion, just like a different opinion.
You need to get him on the next
show. All the time. If I'm not moaning at the Tottenham Stadium, then I'll be you can find me on Twitter, Joey _Y sharp with an E on the end. But you probably to be honest, I just moan a lot about Spurs and then delete it because my following is all FIFA, so it's a bit like I just end up losing followers or people telling me to stick to FIFA kid if I ever say anything. So it's a tough life being a FIFA pro and living football at the same time, because apparently if you play FIFA then you know nothing about real life football. So. You probably don't want to follow me, to be honest.
Oh no, Joe, you've killed me, mate. No, thank you.
No, thank you very much for having me on, Hollie.
No, like I say, it's. Sorry, I keep cutting you off, Joe.
There's like a 2-second lag, so it's kind of confusing. But thank you very much for having me on, and lovely to meet you, Tanya and Emma as well.
Lovely, lovely. Like I say, more than welcome all three of you to come on again whenever you please. I'm sure there'll still be lots of talking points to talk about towards the end of the season and obviously through the summer transfer window. But I want to say a big thank you to everyone again tonight for watching. If you're rewatching, thank you for rewatching. And until next time, I suppose, it's come on you Spurs.